Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope all of you are having an awesome week so far. Students, today in this class we're looking at an IELTS speaking section, the speaking interview. Of course, IELTS is made up of 4 different sections. Listening, reading, writing, that takes about 3 hours all in one go. And then speaking, which is done separately. It's an interview that's 12 to 15 minutes. With an examiner, it's one-on-one, and it consists of 3 parts. This class, part 2, will focus on talking about a brave person who you know. And then part 3 questions will be talking about bravery and courage and the likes. So make sure to participate, join, and practice, everybody. You will have a chance to speak with me on Zoom. Students, this lesson, as per usual, is brought to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS success, visit us there. For the general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com. These are our websites. They power these live classes, have our materials, our practice exams. So check us out at aehelp.com and gieltshelp.com. Welcome, Carolina, our chat moderator. Thank you for being with us today and helping the class flow smoothly. Everybody, you will see Carolina with the very smiley emoji avatar and blue name. You can ask Carolina questions throughout the class. She's here to help. Students, the websites look like this. This is the General IELTS website here with the green background. You can click this big red button to join the premium version of our course. We are an IDP affiliate, a British Council partner, and an IELTS test registration center. So just click that button that's just off there and you're good to go. Academic IELTS, blue background, aehelp.com. The links are in the chat, pinned to the top. Welcome, Ariadna. Hi, Prima. Students, when you are a premium member, then you will get extra classes. Tomorrow we will have a speaking class for premium students on Zoom at this time. All right. So again, learn with us. We help thousands of students every single day. If you'd like to check out those premium student classes, follow this link. I'll drop that in the chat for you right now. Each week you get an email sent out with instructions for your premium student classes. Usually there's 2 of them each week, but this week there's no class on Friday because I'm traveling. The apps are Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help on your phones, mobile, tablet. You can link those to the websites. And if you have questions, send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. So again, speaking right now, speaking tomorrow for premium students. No class on Friday this week, everybody. But you're always welcome to subscribe to the channel, follow us, and check out the videos available. There's lots of great pre-recorded videos available for you, like this speaking video here. All right, welcome, Jack Amir, Prima Donna. Thank you for loving the classes. A little silver heart there. That's great. All right, students, when you go to your IELTS exam, go early. Go about 1 hour before. Get comfortable. Check out the exam center, talk to people, ask questions. Don't be shy. Okay, be you, be yourself. Lots of people there doing the same as you that day, being tested. Some probably better English, some probably worse. Just do your best. Speak your best English and practice with candidates. Find someone and say, hey, are you here for the IELTS exam? And they say, yeah, I've got an IELTS exam in about 40 minutes. And then you can say, well, do you have 10 minutes to just go through some simple warm-up questions? And they might say, yeah, sure. And then you go, that's great, thank you. I hear that's a good way to improve the score, and it's a really good way to improve your score to speak English before your speaking interview. So students, this is an IELTS speaking class. Make sure to speak and repeat, and as I said, go early and switch to English before you meet your examiner. Super important. Okay, and then you get into your interview, and your examiner will meet you. To them, it's sad to say, but you're really just a number. They're there to do a job, and that's to measure your English. They're not English teachers necessarily. They're not listening to you as an English as a second language student. They're just listening to you in terms of what is your English proficiency. Okay, so they'll start with this question. May I see your identification? Give me a nice full sentence answer. They'll introduce the exam like, welcome to the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner. We're conducting this test in Victoria. Exam Center 7Y9Q. Let's begin. And then the first question that you really have to answer is, may I see your identification? Okay. And you want to start strong. So start by giving a nice full sentence answer like, absolutely. Here is my ID that I used to register. Please take a look. It's a nice, natural, confident sentence. Starting with absolutely is good because it's quite confident. Okay, it shows confidence. You want to show confidence. Absolutely. Here's my ID that I used to register. Please take a look. Jack has a little bit of a different answer. Jack says in the chat, Jack says, sure. Here is my ID card, which I used for registering for this exam. Okay. Students, don't make mistakes for these first few questions. It does not sound good when you make mistakes answering these first few questions. It kind of shows that not only do you maybe not have the greatest English, but you didn't really prepare for the test, because you should at least get these first few really accurate, right? Okay. All right. So nice fluent sentences. And then they'll ask you this question, like, what is your full name? So answer that question, again, in a complete sentence. Students, 2 tips so far, right? Tip 1, go to your exam early. Speak English with others. Switch to English at least 30 minutes before your interview. Okay, all right. Tip 2, speak in full sentences right away. Okay, not just little pieces like sure, yes, Adrian. Ooh, what? Okay. Hamant, if you stutter while talking, that could decrease your score, but you should, when you're registering for your IELTS exam, you should put that into your registration. There's a part in your registration that if you have some kind of a speech impediment, so some kind of difficulty with speech, you can let them know that, and they'll give you more time to answer questions, and they'll consider that when they're evaluating you. Okay, so if you have a speech impediment, let them know before your IELTS exam. Otherwise, they won't consider it. Okay. All right. What is your full name? This is definitely a strange way to answer Koraila vlogs. If you say, it's me, it's a strange way to answer. Okay. No, didn't pick that up in the copy there. But when you answer this question, what is your full name? You should answer it like you're meeting a stranger. You should say something like, my given name is Timothy. and my surname is Jefferson, please just call me Tim. Okay, so make sure again that you're answering in full sentences like this. And again, students, repeat, this is speaking practice. So my given name is Timothy and my surname is Jefferson. Please just call me Tim. Like Michael White here. Nice job, Michael. Good to see you. Michael White, one of our channel members, says, my given name is Miguel and my surname is Bolivar. Please call me by my first name, Miguel. Perfect. Strong, confident, going for a band 9. That's what the examiner's thinking. Okay. All right, and then the examiner will ask you a couple of warm-up questions just to make you feel comfortable. Technically, they're not marking you here yet, so they might be taking some notes, but they're not really minusing any scores if you're stuttering or getting stuck on words. They know that you might be a little bit nervous still. However, they are paying attention to your communication and your English, so you want to do a good job. That's why you want to start speaking at the exam with others early, so you can be really strong right from the beginning. So they'll ask something like this, like, do you have any hobbies? It's a very typical question. Do you have any hobbies? Right? So then you answer that question. Please don't say no, I don't have any hobbies. It's very strange to say that. Most people have at least a hobby. I don't know if there are any people out there in the world who don't do a single activity for enjoyment or interest. Okay, so Koirala Vlogs says, yes, I do have many hobbies such as reading and playing badminton. Okay, so in the IELTS, if I'm marking you, this would be considered like a band 6 if you're fluent. Okay. So if you say that very fluently, like you say, yes, I do have many hobbies such as reading and playing badminton, that would be a 6. Okay, if you want to bump that up to like a 7, 8, 9, you should always add an explanation. That's very important. Okay, and maybe even an example. All right, and so what I mean by that, Koirala, is I would say something like, yes, I do have many hobbies such as reading and playing badminton. If I'm feeling energetic, I like to play badminton with my friends, usually on weekends. I actually participated in a local tournament last Saturday. Okay, so that would be like a band 9. You want to show that kind of fluency, right? Okay, so if the examiner says, do you have any hobbies? Then you say, yes, I do have many hobbies such as reading and playing badminton. If I'm feeling energetic, I like to play badminton with friends, usually on weekends. I actually participated in a local tournament last Saturday. And then the examiner goes, oh, that's great. Did you win? And you can say, no, I didn't win first place, but I did get third place, and I was pretty happy with that. There were 30 people. And you go, oh, okay. It is, so you have to remember that IELTS speaking is conversation style, and the examiners, they stick to the script mostly, but they are able to go off script. So keep that in mind, everybody. The interview, this is a tip again, the interview is meant to be a conversation, while the examiner has to ask some questions and stay on script. It means ask the questions on the paper in front. They can go off script and ask follow-up questions. This is usually a good sign. It means you're having a good conversation with them. You're having a natural, coherent, and fluent conversation. Okay. Sometimes if somebody's a very low band score, like a band 3 or a band 4, they'll go off script to make it a little bit easier and so that the person doesn't feel so embarrassed or so challenged. But then I think that individual usually knows that they're not being too fluent. So there's kind of two situations where they really go off script. One is where the individual is doing a really good job. One is when they're not doing such a good job. If they're just kind of sticking to script, like question, 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 it could mean that you're doing an okay job. It could also mean that you're doing a good job and they're just kind of sticking to script that day. They're not really going off script. Okay. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. That's kind of an interesting way to, but never, ever, students, stress about your score while you're doing your speaking exam, okay? So never, ever try to figure out what the examiner's thinking. Well, I shouldn't say that, but never stress about your score while you are speaking in the interview. Stress about it before, after, but not during, okay? All right, so once the examiner kind of warms you up, they'll get into part 1. So they'll say something like, let's talk about mobile apps. Okay. How often do you use apps on your phone? Again, give me a nice full sentence answer for that one. Students, make sure you're repeating questions and answers. So how often do you use apps on your phone? Oh, I use apps on my mobile all the time. I mean, at least 5 different apps each day for a few hours. Whether I'm communicating with friends, friends using WhatsApp, or writing a text, or just simply enjoying a game, I find myself frequently using phone software. Okay, something like that. Ibrahim, every time we'll get you a band 4. MD Minhazul, welcome to the class. Jeffrey, nice answer. Let's take a look. Jeffrey says, students, capitalize your I's. Okay, it's a sign of respect for yourself as well, not just correct English. I often use apps on my mobile phone for scrolling, searching, and catch up with my friends by close and distance relationships. Okay, let's make some corrections here. So, Jeffrey, like this, it would be about a band 5. Okay, there are several mistakes and it's a little bit short. So, a good start though. I often use apps on my mobile phone for scrolling, searching the internet, like Chrome, and to catch up with my friends who live close or far away. Just yesterday, I spoke with my buddy in the US for 30 minutes on Telegram. Okay, something like that, right? So that's going to now be your band 9. Adjusted. Okay, and students, quantify, like when you say often, how often? 5 times a day for 2 hours, 30 minutes. Jeffrey, you're super welcome. Okay. Risham says, I frequently use apps on my phone around 7 to 8 times a day for shopping and learning purposes. I often use YouTube for studying IELTS. Risham, not bad. I made some corrections to have you go from a 5.5 to an 8.5 there. Review that. Okay, students, so rather than me going through these questions one at a time with you like this, let's get you practicing. Let's get you in on a Zoom session. Just get you a taste of what it's like to be a premium user of our websites. So here's a Zoom link, and use that, join it. I'll start that up right now. And while your peers and you are joining up Zoom, I'll show you the websites where you can become the premium user, again, for those of you who joined late. So this is aehelp.com here with this blue background. And again, click this big red button to join the premium version of our course. You get extra classes each week. You get all of our lesson videos, practice exam. It's a one-time payment, lifetime access. Costs about $50 US, not a lot of money, and you'll definitely improve when you go through the materials for your IELTS exam. So click that button, and maybe Carolina can drop that link into the chat for us here, and then yeah, you're off to the races. So again, for general IELTS, it's gieltshelp.com. So that looks like this. And again, you can join the premium version by clicking the big red button. Okay, we've got 3 people in the Zoom chat so far. I'll let them in. Let's see who's there. All right. Let me just get my headphones on so you can volunteer. We'll get you in there. Okay, we've got some more students coming in. Let me get back to my questions here. Okay. All right. Again, students, here is the link for the Zoom. We'll use Zoom and YouTube together. Okay. There's the link again for you. Okay, got more and more. All right. So let's see who's here. All right. Minnie, Miguel, Isur, Alexander, NSVBTC Bitcoin trader. Okay. All right. Okay, students. So if you'd like to volunteer, you can raise your hand by using the react button, and then your hand goes up. I know you want to volunteer. And then you can jump in. Alexander, I think you haven't had a chance for a while, so why don't we start with you?
Hello.
Hi, Alexander.
Hi, John. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm at the tail end of a cold. That's why my voice kind of does some strange things at times. But
so I can't help not to ask you, what is your attitude to your news about your country nowadays?
Oh, Alexander, you're a lover of politics, aren't you?
No, really interesting. Are you in favor of joining US or not? This is my simple question. Yes or no?
It's not a news story for us. I'm old enough that since my childhood, I've seen a very similar script between the US and Canada about 3 times now, and it always ends the same. Everybody goes, "Oh, okay, let's just be friends and keep doing what we're doing." I think we're very closely connected to the US here in Canada, either way, especially depending on where we are. I think what a lot of people don't know, and this is kind of interesting for those of you who are planning to come to Canada, 80% of the Canadian population lives 100 kilometers from the US border. Okay, so most of the country, it's 80% of Canadians live, and actually many of them even closer, so live within 100 kilometers. And 100 kilometers in Canada is a very small distance. You have to understand that. So for a Canadian to drive 100 kilometers, it's nothing. They will do it in a day. Okay, so 80% of Canadians live within 100 kilometers of the U.S. border. I'm actually much closer. I'm within 50 kilometers of the U.S. border. So we're very closely connected to the USA, and at times there are these kind of interesting situations where we kind of rub each other the wrong way. But that usually works out. And I'm just waiting for this to pass. Alexander, to keep the answer simple for you, I think.
So is it real border or like in EU, or you have to make some custom clearance or passport control if you go to US?
No, I just have to show my driver's license, and then I can go into the U.S. So driver's licenses work on the border. Although there has been, now they're saying, maybe we'll use passports, and they've done that in the past where it's like, okay, you have to use passports, and then they switched back because it just created a lot of extra work for everybody. So anyway, so. Yeah, let's get away from politics, Alexander. I appreciate the question. It's a funny question. If anybody is following the news, then there's definitely kind of like a trade war going between the U.S. and Canada. But if you look at the history of trade wars between Canada and the U.S., then you'll realize that it's not the first rodeo. Let's say that. So
it's a big subject. All main media is trying to check Canadians' reaction. So I just interesting.
Yeah, I think it's leading to a lot of Canadian patriotism. So Canadians are now buying much more Canadian products rather than U.S. products. We're threatening the U.S. with not supplying electricity to the U.S. because we supply a large amount of their electricity, etc. So, yeah, it's just it's like a fight between siblings. But yeah,
making war during American let's say national. During some sport teams competition.
Yeah, so it increases rivalry, exactly. And Canadians, I don't know if I know you follow hockey, but Canadians just won the international hockey championships, and that was a big part of this as well. So yeah, all right, let's get into a couple questions. Are you ready, Alexander?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so, okay, listen up, everybody, because this is how your IELTS interview will likely sound. So welcome to the speaking section of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner for this part of the test. May I see your identification?
Surely, please check my passport, which I have used for registration for this test. Please have a look at my credentials.
What is your full name?
My first name is Alexander. My family name is Vladimir. So please call me Alexander.
Okay, Alexander, for part one, I will ask you a couple of questions to get to know you better and some questions on a general topic. What is your favorite sport?
Well, I would say that my favorite sport is hockey, ice hockey. But probably sometimes I prefer to watch basketball. NBA especially, or some national teams competitions, but and football, European football.
Let's talk about mobile apps. What app do you use most often?
Oh, of course, as I guess the most of people on the earth, I use WhatsApp. Is the most important application for daily communication, both written and speaking communication. Besides, I use YouTube and some banking apps. So mobile phones, apps for mobile phones are my daily credential point. I daily use it very often, very actively. Yeah. Okay. I can imagine my life without mobile phone recently. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll stop there, and I'll give you some feedback.
Again, I didn't use some examples. Sorry.
Yeah, and you know what? Examples are just a part of it, Alexander. So I think using examples is important because examples also help you to focus on the accuracy of the answer. So you speak well, but you're not really sticking to the answer. And even examiners that aren't really experienced will eventually just kind of feel like something's off, something's not right. And then when they feel that, when they feel like there's something's not right, then the score kind of goes down. And then they can listen again, or they can ask one of their colleagues and say, hey, can you listen to this? I think like he's speaking good English, but I just can't give him an 8 or a 9 because something just seems off. And what is that? And then an experienced examiner will say, well, it's because he's not clearly answering the question. And then the other examiner, the newer examiner, will say, what do you mean? And they'll go, well, notice how he's speaking really well, but you're asking him different questions. Like you're asking him, what app do you use most often? So you're asking for one app here. Like you're asking about WhatsApp. You're not asking about YouTube. You're not asking about banking apps. And he's kind of just going off on these additional unnecessary details rather than giving you an explanation and an example. Same thing with what is your favorite sport? You're asking about a favorite sport. And he starts well with saying it's ice hockey, but then switches to saying NBA and football. So, we don't really get a sense of why hockey is his favorite sport, or when did he maybe watch hockey. So it's really important, students, that you answer questions accurately. And thankfully, I think more and more YouTubers and IELTS trainers that I'm seeing on YouTube now who are popular are picking this up, this very important detail, that in the IELTS exam, your answers have to be accurate for those high scores. So here, Alexander, you would want to say, well, I would say that my favorite sport is ice hockey. Why do you like? Let me continue here with a question. Alexander, why do you like ice hockey? Why is it your favorite if you had to choose? So what makes ice hockey your favorite sport?
It's not a strange question, first of all. Like, what is your favorite cuisine or favorite dish?
So
No, it's national hockey. It is national sport in my country. I played it a bit. It's quite popular. It was popular around me. Maybe it's a reason. But
yeah,
I like it. Dynamic, I like it. Speed, I like some, let's say, intrigue of this sport. It's not so long to watch.
sure. Now in the IELTS,
Yeah.
you don't need to explore your answer. You just have to give your answer. So if you say, well, I would say that my favorite sport is ice hockey because it is a national sport in Russia. I played it as a child, and it is thrilling to watch, which is very true. It is thrilling to watch. In fact,
Sometimes, most times.
I catch at least one major game on TV each week. Then this is your band 9, right? Like this is what I'm interested in. It's that sport and it's that detail. And there's one other big reason, students, why it's really important that your answers are accurate and you go into this kind of detail. Do you know why that is, Alexander? So what's the other reason why that will help you to get to that very good expert level of English, when you pay really careful attention to the accuracy and the detail? What do you think happens? Something happens with the language when you do that. What happens?
It's become more structured and easy to understand, or it automatically creates some mode
Yeah.
to how to answer. Yeah?
Yeah, exactly, right. It automatically leads to more advanced vocabulary, more advanced grammatical structures, more complex compound sentences. So being accurate and detailed leads to complex and coherent sentences with good vocabulary. It's really that simple, right? So that's why you want to always focus on that, right? So that's the main idea. So again, Alexander, I think you have great English, and if we're sitting in a cafeteria, I would say, wow, that's very good English. But if we're sitting in the IELTS exam, I'd be forced to give you a band 6.5, maybe a 7 with this kind of response. If you go into those details, give me examples, I can definitely give more scores as the examiner. So just keep that in mind, okay?
Yeah, sure. It should be game a rule of games are quite clear here, but I'm always forgetting this
Yeah,
to
yeah.
keep it in mind.
Sure. And talking about hockey, big one of my big plans for this month, Alexander, you're going to love to hear this, is getting my picture taken with my kids with the Stanley Cup. The Stanley Cup is going to be in Victoria this month on March 30th to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Victoria Cougars winning the Stanley Cup in 1925. So
Hmm.
you can look into that as interesting news in history. So yeah, if you have a chance, jump on a plane and get your picture taken with me in the Stanley Cup on March 30th here in Victoria.
I would. It will be nice, of course, but I have to take several planes to reach Victoria.
All right, Alexander, thank you so much for chiming
Thank
in.
you.
Have a great
Thank
day.
you
Okay,
for having
bye.
me. Thank you. Bye bye.
All right, everybody, let's give Alexander a thumbs up. That was really good. He's always just such a good sport. He's one of the regular students in these classes, and just a fantastic individual to have with us here regularly. All right, Minnie, why don't you unmute yourself? Isuru Jack Miguel, make sure you get ready because you're next. Hi, Minnie.
Hi, sir. How are you?
I am doing quite well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good because it's a nice weather in Canada for 2 days.
What part of Canada are you in? Because you're not in the same part as me. We've had very rainy and cold weather
I
here.
live near to the Niagara Falls.
Oh, you're near, yeah. Okay, so you're about 5,000 kilometers from me. But okay, so East Coast is getting some good weather. I didn't know that. I wasn't paying attention, so that's good. I'm happy to hear. Is it sunny, warm?
Yeah, it's in a plus 10 and it's really warm and
Yeah. No, I think some of our classmates are like, "What is she talking about? Plus 10 is warm." But I think it's relative, right? What probably a lot of people don't know is this time of year can easily still be minus 10 in that part. So plus 10 is definitely warm. And also, Minnie, when it's sunny, you feel warm, right? That's the difference. Like the sun is quite strong. It gives you this sense of
yes,
warmth. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Minnie, let's jump into a few questions. Are you ready?
yes, sir.
Okay, so let's continue talking about using apps on your phone. Have you paid for any apps? If yes, why?
I have paid few applications on my phone because I am very into fitness. So I paid one application called the Fitness Board that give me regular schedule for my exercise and the nutrition, like the diet schedule. So I'm totally based on that, and that's really improved within 1 month. And the other application is the shopping app, which I am updated with the new stock and the latest designs, so I can purchase accordingly.
If you could make an app for your phone, what would it be and why?
Given a chance, I would definitely make app about my field, that's a physiotherapy, so I can update it more techniques and devices which is latest into our life, which I can treat more patient with a very less stress.
That is the end of part one. We will now continue with part two. For this part, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these questions, and then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. You can take notes in the 1 minute preparation time if you wish. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, then talk about a person you consider very brave. Your 1 minute preparation time begins now. Minnie, could you read the questions, please? The part two questions for everybody.
Talk about a person you considered very brave. Who is this person? What is this person like? What make them courageous? What would you ask this person in a conversation and why? You will have 1 or 2 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes to talk about this topic. You will have 1 minute to prepare what you are going to say.
Very good, Minnie. So that's exactly what you do, everybody. What Minnie just did, you carefully read the questions on the page that's presented by the examiner. And you might want to read that topic one twice. Talk about a person you consider very brave, even though the examiner will say it once, and you'll definitely read it once, maybe read it twice. It's very important. Okay, and then Minnie, so once you've read the questions, right, before you start thinking about your answer and scribbling down notes, what should you do? What should you recognize?
Find out the topic, like it's a person, place, event,
Yeah.
idea, or
And in this case, it's a person, right?
person. Yes.
Yeah. And when you talk about a person, what should you make sure to do? What should you do when you're talking about a person?
Appearance,
Talk about their
action,
appearance.
and
Yeah.
personal.
So appearance is what they look like, right? And
Yes.
can you tell your classmates why you should say one or two sentences about the appearance of the person?
Because examiner could imagine that person.
Yeah, especially if they're not a famous person that we don't know what they look like, right? Like if you say Brad Pitt, we're like, oh, okay, I kind of know. But even then, some examiners are like, who is that guy, right? So appearance, so the examiner can imagine, yeah. So it's not just a stick man. Um, so it's not just a John Doe or Jane Doe, right? The individual. Yeah. Okay, and then so you say a couple sentences, maybe 10 seconds about the appearance. And then what should you do after?
Talk about the personality
And what's the
and
best way to...
action.
Yeah, exactly. So what can you give an example to everybody what you mean by personality and action?
So if person is very courageous, so he did something good in his life, um, like have a strong belief or stay motivated.
Okay, so the person is very courageous. They stay motivated. They do good in life. Okay, so these are all kind of different, right? So we still haven't had an action here. So this is, and to be fair, I haven't given you a chance to think about the person yet. But so if the person is very courageous, right? What would be an action to support that statement that
So
I have a
what I
friend who's...
think,
Yep.
yeah, so what I think is, I have a one friend who fought against the cancer, and she did uh, very good in his total therapy, like the chemotherapy. He never get demotivated once he did with the diagnosed.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really happy to hear you say that. That's a very, very good example, right? Like a person who is fighting an illness. I think cancer affects almost all of us by the time we reach adulthood. It's just so prevalent, and there are a lot of very, very courageous individuals out there who fight cancer, and many of them these days win. So and even those who don't often will put up a huge fight. So you said, so the person is very courageous. She put up a huge fight against cancer. Careful with your he, she. You started with a she, so I'm guessing it's a girl, but you also switched to a he. That causes confusion, so careful. Stay motivated. So the person put up a huge fight against cancer. When you say they stay motivated by smiling every day, even with painful and difficult chemotherapy, right?
Yes.
Okay, so again, just those actions, right? So, in fact, she kept doing her job as much as she could while on chemotherapy, or she continued to take care of her family, her children, or walk her dog, or whatever that is, right? But those actions that present that, it's very good. So again, students, viewers, keep this in mind because Minnie is definitely on the right track. Minnie, I have a feeling you have access to the premium version of the course. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And it's definitely help a lot.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, because it's described there, right? It's like when you talk about a person, this is what you need to do, and that way your listener gets a clear idea. Even very high-level English users will often just say, "Oh, I have a friend who's very brave. They're super motivated and hardworking, and they're very, very kind. I love to hang out with them." And when we talk like this for a stranger, it's kind of like, "Oh, so you have a good friend, but I don't, I don't really get what they do, right? So you have to include those action pieces each time. Okay, Minnie, do you want to try this part too? I know you haven't had a complete 1 minute, but I can give you a few seconds. Do you want to try it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how about I'll give you 15 seconds to kind of gather your thoughts, and then I'll start you off, okay?
Yes.
All right. In the meantime, students, while Minnie is gathering her thoughts and maybe taking some notes, I'll take a look at the chat. If anybody has any questions related to part two, now is a good time to ask. Any questions, students, about part two, talking about a person, what you should be doing? And again, a lot of this material you'll find in your online course at aehelp.com in your My Student account, and it will be described in your interactive course in the speaking section here. Okay. So if you have questions, just let me know. I'll keep an eye out on that chat, and I'll give you some answers. Okay, Minnie, your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
So I know my best friend since childhood. She had a cancer at the age of 28, and once she diagnosed, she was very heartbroken, and then she started um, reading books and stay motivated by watching videos how to get uh, treatment from this battle. Then she is very brave since her childhood. She is very bold, and she has a um, almond shaped eyes and 4.8 feet height, has a fair skin texture, and having a bold hair. She was always brave in each and every competition as we were together in the school. um, she did she did always she won first prize in his competition always. So once she diagnosed with the cancer, she first went to the psychologist as she didn't want to uh, get a mentally s- get mentally um, get mentally he dead. And then she went to the doctor and get a proper treatment and the protocol where he get the treatment in every weeks. And once she did the chemo first, and she was very not able to grabs the part which was very heartbroken. And then she started doing yoga meditation which will help her to stay motivated. And as the time passed, then she was very into the line and uh, go very frequent with the treatment. And she finally get out of this battle and enjoyed her life in a better way nowadays.
Okay, your 2 minutes is up. I'll stop you there. And we'll go on to part three. All right, Minnie, well, thank you for that, and thank you for sharing that story. Let me give you a little bit of feedback, okay? So for part one, you did a really good job for these short answers. I think your sentences were very accurate. When I asked you, have you paid for any apps? You said, I have paid for a few applications on my phone because I'm very into fitness. I'm into fitness. When you're into something, it includes the term very. Okay, so you don't have to say I'm very into, you can just say I'm into. It's a little bit awkward to say very because into includes that. If you're into something, it means you really like it. And then you said, so I paid for this app and I'm totally based on that, is a little bit strange. So sometimes you have like these slightly awkward or different ways of expressing ideas than what I would say is common Canadian English, right? Like it might be more common in India, but definitely less common in Canada. One way to adopt the natural style of English for, let's say, like Canadians or Americans is just to read books, like read lots and lots of books with that English, with that accurate English. Are you reading any books right now, Minnie?
Yes, Atomic Habit.
Oh, nice. Okay, good. So you're on the right path. That's perfect. Yeah. Um, and I can tell, like, I can tell in some places it's really accurate and really natural. And then just in some places there are these oddities. So you just want to really pay attention to that. I think your part one answers would definitely be like in the band 758 range. Your part two, and it's a little bit of a tough question, would be closer to like a band six. There was just more awkward kind of expressions. But you did do some nice self corrections, like you said. But then she started, since his, and I mean her childhood, so you corrected your his, her. You paid attention to that time. That was good. Answer the question directly, students. So, Minnie, when you're in part two and you say, so I know my best friend since childhood, I have known my best friend since childhood, but more importantly, you want to start like this. My best friend, who I have known since childhood, is a very brave person. Okay? Can you just repeat after me? My best friend, who I have known since childhood, is a very brave person.
My best friend, who I have known since childhood, is an very brave person.
And I believe that should be a whom, because they're the object here. So my best friend, whom I have known since childhood, is a very brave person.
My best friend, whom I have known since childhood, is very brave person.
Yeah, it has to be present perfect here, right? Whom I have known since childhood is a very brave person. Okay, so one more time. My best friend, whom I have known since childhood, is a very brave person.
My best friend, whom I have known since childhood, is very brave person.
And then, before you start talking about cancer and defeating cancer, don't get too excited. Don't get ahead of yourself with the information. Immediately give a little bit of a description. At the moment, she is 32 years old, married with 2 kids, has almond shaped eyes, about 160 centimeters tall, and long dark hair with a really charismatic smile. Okay, so just immediately create that image, right? Try this. So at the moment, she is 32 years old, married with 2 kids, and has almond shaped eyes, about 160 centimeters tall, with long dark hair and a really charismatic smile. Try it, Minnie.
At the moment, she is 32 years old, married with 2 kids, has almond-shaped eyes, about 160 centimeter tall, and long dark hair with a really charismatic smile.
The reason I consider her one of the most, or one of the, I should say, bravest individuals whom I have met is because of her battle with cancer. Okay, so just repeat this sentence after me. The reason I consider her one of the bravest individuals whom I have met is because of her battle with cancer a few years ago.
The reason I considered her one of the bravest individual whom I have met is because of her battle with cancer a few years ago.
And then you go into the details about her journey and her battle and how she overcame cancer. And this is why she's so brave, okay? So you really have to pay attention to that structure and just very directly and accurately addressing the topic of the cue card. Does that make sense?
Okay, yes.
Right? Okay, so notice how that first sentence, it's relatively short. Like it's only about maybe 14 words. And it introduces the person and tells the examiner that they are very brave. Okay? So you want to answer that question right away. And then right away give a little description of what they look like and or who they are. Just so the person listening is like, oh, okay. This is who you're talking about for this topic, and this is what they look like. Now let's hear the story. That's kind of how it should go. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Minnie, thank you so much for
Sir, I
volunteering.
have
Yep.
a question.
Yep.
How to improve the sentence structure? Do you have any suggestion for that?
Yeah, it's a combination of speaking and writing. So, what I would do is I would give the answer just like you did, record it. Once you have the recording, then transcribe it. So write it down, right? And you can
Okay.
use software to help you with this. Once you have it transcribed, so and for a part two, it'll probably be about half a page to 2/3 of a page. Once you have that transcription, then there's a couple of ways that you can do it. First, try to fix as many mistakes on your own as you can. Okay, so speak, transcribe, fix. Once you've fixed as many of the mistakes as you can, then you can use a piece of software like, for example, ChatGPT, and give it that writing and say, hey, ChatGPT, please correct these sentences without changing the structure, right? Because you don't want ChatGPT to completely change the whole speech and then it's not really your own anymore. So you want to instruct ChatGPT to keep it relatively the same, but make corrections to any grammatical mistakes or word use mistakes. And then you'll get the same kind of dialogue, but with very accurate English. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then you want to read that and then you want to try to say that, so you can be like, okay, that's the accurate way with the proper complex compound sentence structures. Do you get it?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you so much, sir.
you're very welcome. A very good question, by the way. And once you do it a couple times, you're really going to love that practice. You're going to be like, oh, okay, that's helping a lot. Okay,
Yes. Thank you.
all right, thank you, Minnie. All right, everybody, let's give Minnie a huge thumbs up, because that was really awesome. Students, I did run out of time here, so I'm going to close that up for now because we're coming up on 7:30 on that 1 hour mark. But for those of you watching, we'll have for premium students, we'll have a full-on Zoom class tomorrow. So Jack, I've got you as my first person tomorrow. Okay. Tatiana, did you get the link? Thank you for that medal that you've given to Minnie. See, Minnie, Tatiana awarded you a gold medal for that. That was really good. Tatiana, did you get the link for tomorrow's class? Are you going to be there? Everybody keep in mind, we've had daylight savings, so classes are an hour earlier. Good, Tatiana. Then see you in class tomorrow. Make sure you volunteer. Everybody, we will resume the YouTube classes next Tuesday as usual. So we'll have Tuesday, Wednesday classes. Thank you so much for being here with me today, Carolina. I'm not sure why you haven't received the links, Carolina, for tomorrow. I'll take a look. I have sent it. No, I'm sure I sent it. Yeah. Shakrani, yeah, daylight savings. Clocks change every March and November, usually in 70 different countries. Carolina, I'll send you the link, but I'm not sure why you're not getting that. We'll take a look, okay? And enjoy the rest of Wednesday, everyone. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. Thank you, volunteers. Thank you, viewers. Much love to all of you, wherever you are in the world today. Bye for now.